Since the 12th century, locals have been gathering here in Brentford, Warwickshire to witness one of Britain's oldest traditions, the Wroth silver ceremony. It's 2 degrees out here, me and my crew are freezing. I think it's time to get something to warm us up.
In the heart of Warwickshire, on the 11th of November, on the eve of St Martin's Day, just before sunrise, the Nightlow 100 gather to observe the oldest tradition in England's recorded history, the Wroth silver ceremony.
It's one of those sort of traditions that need to be carried on.
Why do you think that is?
Well, it's important that there's a feeling of continuity, and that there are certain fixed points that you can look back on and think, well, that's always gone on. It's always been part of the fabric of the country. And if she needs to know about the local area, then this is an intrinsic part of that.
Do you think it brings the local area together?
Oh, definitely. Well, we've got 80 or 90 people turning up on a frosty November morning, so definitely, from all over not just the villages, but from all over the place.
The ceremony, which has been an ongoing event since the year 1170, it sees locals being called atop of a hill near Rugby by the Duke of Buccleuch, or one of his agents, and in order to pay a tax.
But I've been coming here since 1979, so every year, sort of documenting. Basically, for 54 years I've been recording and filming all over the British Isles, events, seasonal events. So this is one I came to and then got hooked. So I come year after year and in a sense documenting the changes. The changes, something like this, are just personalities, people die.
As they throw the tax into a hollowed-out stone, then they must exclaim, Wroth silver. If the locals refuse to pay up, they will be fined 1 bull with red ears and a red nose.
What's your name again, sir?
My name's Barry Patterson.
Barry Patterson.
I'm a professional bard.
Professional bard?
And I was recruited to be the Wroth Silver Poet Laureate 3 years ago,
3 years.
basically. Or rather, well, I've done it for 3 years.
3 years. Have you wrote a new poem every year?
A new poem each year.
New poem.
It's a rich vein of stuff because there's history and there's the location and there's the time of year. So there are an awful lot of different themes the poet can play with. I chose the location to be my main area of interest this year,
What's some other themes you've explored?
Well, I've also explored the history,
okay.
And also I think that there's something slightly odd in that what we're doing is we're celebrating a bunch of the old English country folk paying protection money to their equivalent of the mafia.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't entirely think that is necessarily something to celebrate. So I always try and think, well, okay, look, we're honouring those ancestral people who were people of the land, and we're honouring our heritage, rather than honouring that particular, it's taxation, isn't it? You know, so like, oh yeah, we're going to get up before dawn in order to celebrate taxation. It's slightly weird. So, but looking at the history of it, the fact that people have kept it alive, it's something to do with our heritage and the spirit of the land, and the spirit of the time of year, and it becomes part of your seasonal. Yeah, there are certain things that come around once a year, and there you are again. There you are again, in that place at that time with those people. And it's nice to mark the years and the passage of the seasons with something like this.
Do you feel that your yearly poems every year may become part of the tradition, or?
Well, having a poet read a poem at Wroth Silver is a tradition which goes back to the 1950s, with a poet called Victor Reed or Mead. Victor Neil.
Victor Neil.
I'll say that again, perhaps.
Okay.
Having a poet read a poem at Wroth Silver goes back to the 1950s, and a poet called Victor Reed. There has.
No.
Never mind.
It's
I'm Victor Neil.
Yeah.
And so basically it is a tradition, and so then there is a change of face occurs now and again, and so I'm just the latest in a proud history of local poets celebrating this unique event.
And last question: before you came the bard for the Wroth Silver ceremony, did you attend it before then?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I had been a lot.
When was your first one?
90s.
90s.
Yeah, I don't know when in the 90s. Sometime in the 90s. Yeah. Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you
pleasure.
very much.
The origin of the term Roth silver derives from the Anglo-Saxon word Rotha Hader, meaning cattle money, a toll paid to pass through a road. However, the origin of the ceremony remains enigmatic.
79 years, since 1938.
How long have you organised the event?
For the last 50 years.
For the last 50 years.
Yes.
Has much changed in the time you've been here? I remember you
Not
said.
really, no. Breakfast venues have changed.
So here we stand in the dim lit, cold dank dawning, a group of people huddled round a stone, reeling in the years of ancestral mornings. When early traffic begins its rush of day, beyond the hedge which once just wasn't there, when Nightwell Cross watched over the way, from its hilltop across the land to Rugby, Coventry and beyond. Our ceremony is a celebration of the time, this the hour, this the day that it must be done, as it has been for 1,000 years or more. So many turnings of the silver sun that wrath must be paid on the eve of Martinmas. Thy good folk of the lands hear all about. Let us also celebrate the ancient place of where we gather. A point of vantage, judgment, preaching and burial, from which the crows can fly. The mind's eye given freedom mile over mile to review the land of Albion below. Our sea-waved, girded island, the shore dressed by cliffs high and low, shingles, sand and salty marsh, where winter's bird flocks gather. North we fly, over Coombe and Hinckley, Colville and the Trent, steely Sheffield and Wetherby, to the tumbled rocky cliffs of my youth, between Shields and Sunderland, where we meet the great North Sea. Or south, over Princethorpe, Southam, Wantage, and the chalk hills of the Hampshire Downs, to Southampton, the Solent, and the Isle of Wight.